many ways your account can be hacked, and what to do about it. Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Not a day goes by, it seems, that we don't hear about some kind of account compromise or attack. Sometimes it makes the news. Sometimes it's just a friend who mentions an account loss in passing. And of course, if you're the tech person in your circle of friends, it's often someone coming to you for help. Account hacks matter because they lead to things like financial loss, identity theft, and more. And of course, you could lose access to everything that was in the account at the time. The good news is that there are steps you can take. The even better news is that there's a good chance you're already taking many of them. While they're not targeting you specifically, you're just not that interesting after all. They do target, well, anyone and everyone, of which, yes, you and I are definitely not interesting, but we're definitely part of everyone. While not limited to this list, these are the most common approaches to account theft. Phishing might be the most common attack vector right now. You might get an email or a text or even a phone call pretending to be from a person or an organization you trust. They send you to a web page that looks like the real and expected site into which you need to sign in. Unfortunately, it's not the real site at all, and you've just handed over your credentials to a hacker. Social engineering is similar to phishing, but with a different target. Social engineering is when hackers use psychological influence to get people to do something like give them a password or divulge confidential information. The attacker contacts an organization where you have an account and pretends to be you. If they have enough information about you, or the organization's security standards are more lax than they should be, or maybe it's just the customer representative's bad day, they can convince them to reset your password. This then locks you out and lets the attacker in. SIM swapping is a form of social engineering, usually targeted at gaining access to your mobile phone number. By convincing the mobile provider's customer service representative that they are you, a hacker can have your mobile number assigned away from your device and to theirs. This gives them access to things like two-factor authentication codes and other account recovery methods associated with that number. They then use this to recover access to your account and set a new password. Malicious software, and specifically keyloggers, can harvest sensitive information directly from your computer. They arrive like any malware through malicious downloads or attachments and set up shop on your computer. Then, as you type in account information onto a website, the malware records the keystrokes and then sends them on to the attacker, who can then use the information, sometimes later, to log into your account. Something I call a chain of account compromise. This approach allows one compromised account to act as a gateway to compromise additional accounts. One approach is that if you've used login with Google or similar mechanisms, if your Google account is compromised, then the attacker has access to all the accounts for which you've used login with Google. Similarly, if your email account is compromised, then the attacker can use access to that account to compromise other accounts where that email address was used as either a user ID or as a recovery email. Weak and reused passwords are one of the more common attack vectors. Obviously, easy to guess passwords are, well, easy to guess. They're a bad idea. And to be fair, passwords are much easier to guess than you might believe. More critically, though, is that reused passwords, using the same password for multiple different accounts, is one of the most common forms of password-based account theft today. If the password is exposed anywhere, it's exposed everywhere. Data breaches I list last because honestly it's rare, though not completely unheard of, that a data breach will result in an account compromise. More pragmatically, the information stolen in a data breach can be used for identity theft or maybe to enable some of those social engineering-based attacks I've talked about. So with all those approaches to getting in, we need several tactics to lock down and protect our digital world. Hopefully, you're already doing most of these. Use a password manager. just do it. Using a password manager is more than just a convenience. It enables you to use complex passwords you could never memorize yourself and to use a different password on every site you visit. There are many other conveniences, of course, but enabling these two aspects of password hygiene is by far the most important reason to use a password manager. The next most important thing you can do is to enable two-factor authentication. Enable it on every account that supports it. Even if someone knows your password, they'll still not be able to get in. 2FA need not be a burden. It's usually only required the first time you sign into a site on a new device or browser. And the fear of losing your second factor is also overstated, as you'll establish recovery information when you set it up. Speaking of, if your account does get compromised, you'll want to get back in as soon as possible. That's where your recovery information, additional phone numbers, email addresses, and codes comes into play. Your ability to access, respond, or provide recovery information is that additional layer of proof that you are the rightful account holder and should be let back in. Without it, a compromised account can be lost forever. Whenever you get a message or a phone call from someone or someplace that you don't recognize or didn't expect, always be extra skeptical. Double check that the sender is legitimate, confirming things like email addresses used or even contacting the real person via another channel, and that any links involved go to exactly where you would expect for that situation. Update, update, and update again, please. Now, I know we keep hearing about machines and devices having problems after an update. First, remember, news is news because it's uncommon. What you're not hearing about are all the machines that have been updating continuously and that are just working fine. I've even said that you can keep using Windows 10 safely after updates stop, but staying up to date still remains an important part of your overall strategy, and you're safer if you do than if you don't. Just take a backup before major updates, just in case. Review your accounts periodically. If your online accounts offer it, and I'll admit most do not, check to see where it thinks you've signed in from in recent weeks or months. The location won't be terribly accurate. Mine is off by dozens, if not sometimes hundreds of miles. But if it lists you as having signed in from a different country that you've never been to, it's time to take action and secure your account. Similarly, check your credit card accounts online periodically to ensure that all the charges listed are charges you recognize. Lock your mobile account. Setting an additional PIN or password with your mobile account helps prevent SIM swaps. This is something separate from the PIN or password you might use to sign into your online account. It's something that needs to be provided separately before any account change, possibly with the exception of an in-person change. For example, if you do get a new phone, it won't be enough to sign into your account and move your phone number to it. You'll need to talk to a customer service representative and provide this additional PIN. I get it. It may feel like there's a lot to be afraid of. But as long as you keep the possibilities in mind and prioritize security, a few simple habits will go a long, long way to keeping your accounts secure without being an excessive burden. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/180742. If you've got a question about any of this or anything else, visit askleo.com/ask to ask it. If you're interested in subscribing to my weekly Confident Computing newsletter where I cover topics like this and much more, visit askleo.com/newsletter. And if you're interested in helping keep Ask Leo afloat, visit askleo.com/patron for some of the options there. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is AskLeo.com. Thanks for watching.